Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ashim Barakah Kodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and peace and salutations to you, Ahchyam, out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Raya with another video, and I'll be reading from an article on activistpost.com titled Law Enforcement to Flag and Spy on Future Criminals. And that word criminals should be in quotes, because as we'll see in this article, this is just a further example of profiling people and setting up a case so they can come against them. And we know that this is mainly going to be targeted at the men of the Lord, chiefly GMS or Great Millstone, because this truth that's going out on the highways and byways, and especially on the internet, on platforms like YouTube, is hurting these Edomites, or so-called white people, especially these elites. They study the scriptures and can clearly see that these major prophecies are beginning to come to their fulfillment, and they know what the end game is: being taken out of power and then going into 1,000 years of hardcore bondage and slavery before their permanent eradication. So now these Edomites are putting all the pieces in play to build up a false case against us so they can have justification for coming against us in the eyes of these people out here. But it's all a part of prophecy, Ahchyam. In all honesty, you should be excited about what's about to transpire, because we know that the persecution is going to come, but what comes after the persecution in Jacob's trouble? Salvation, if we're of that elect number. So now's not the time to be getting weak in the faith. You should be fully assured in your faith in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, that if you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, that you'll be of that elect number and have that protective hedge of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai over you during these coming terrible times of Jacob's trouble. But let's get into this article. America's fear of mass shootings is about to take a truly bizarre turn. That's because our law enforcement will soon be used as fortune tellers to spy on future criminals. How will law enforcement be used as fortune tellers? A recent Albuquerque Journal article revealed that law enforcement will flag people who they think might pose a potential risk. Who they think being the key word. Governor Michelle LeJean Grisham directed State Homeland Security and Emergency Management Secretary John Lindsay to start enrolling all 33 county sheriffs in a data sharing program so that individuals deemed a potential risk could be flagged and monitored. What types of things could Americans do that law enforcement would consider threatening? Be considered a black identity extremist and be on the SPLC's or the Southern Poverty Law Center's black identity extremist hate group list, which GMS is on. And as we have to keep saying, GMS and just the truth in general is not a color-based movement. It's all through the spirit, which is what makes you an Israelite. Because you've got the traditional looking Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the confusion of face Israelites that will come looking as so-called white people, so-called Asians, so-called Arabs, etc., etc. Inside sources revealed that police would be looking for certain indicators. State Police Chief Tim Johnson said, "I think it's obviously important for all citizens of New Mexico to be on the lookout for certain indicators of these types of folks that would do this. And part of our job as government officials is to ensure that the citizens of the community understand what those indicators are so they can report them." Oh, there are these angry so-called black men and so-called Hispanic men on the streets talking about how the so-called white man's the devil and that America's going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles and that there's going to be race wars and civil wars and that we're going to be their slaves. The Tampa Bay Times reported that police are looking for certain critical threat indicators on students' social media posts, and YouTube is a social media platform and has even created their own Fortify FL app that allows anyone to secretly report suspicious behavior. What these indicators are is anyone's guess. And I was watching a video by the elder brother Yashawamba in the Dallas camp talking about how he was talking with a brother in Arkansas And the brother in Arkansas told him that the police in his city came up to him and straight up told him that we're doing anything we can to get you off the highways and byways. So best believe that they're looking at our videos and they're building up that case to come against us with. And just this past weekend at camp, an old Edomite came up and was taking pictures of us, and we told him not to take pictures, and he told us that he was a judge. So law enforcement is looking at us, Ahchyam. Expect it to get more hectic out there. We're catching the eyes of the bigger fish. Johnson also said that it was important for law enforcement and other social services to follow up on reports of possibly dangerous citizens in hopes of preventing acts of domestic terrorism. And I did a video of it a couple of weeks ago, and brothers have also been doing videos of it on how the FBI came out with that report on how so-called conspiracy theories are going to be one of the future main causes for so-called domestic terrorism. And the elder brother from the GMS South Carolina camp did a beautiful video on leaked documents from an FBI report. And I can't remember if it was the same report or a different report, but in those leaked documents, it was talking about how black identity extremists were going to be a more dangerous threat than Al-Qaeda and white nationalists. And it's no coincidence that just around the time all these reports came out on conspiracy theories leading to domestic terrorism, a trailer for a movie called The Day Shall Come came out. An impoverished preacher who brings hope to the Miami projects is offered cash to save his family from eviction. He has no idea his sponsor works for the FBI, who plan to turn him into a criminal by fueling his madcap revolutionary dreams. Red flag potential threat indicators. Revolutionary dreams, criminal. And when we go to an image of this Jake, what does he have on his chest? The Star of David. And he's also wearing black pants and combat boots. What does that remind you of? ISUPK, which also just so happens to be on the Black Nationalist Hate Group list on the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's got the Star of David and even a sword. And I'm sure a lot of you brothers remember that video that HOI came out with a while ago where they went to the gun range in full regalia, fringes, the Star of David and everything, talking about how they need to tap into Esau's carnal blessing. A lot of you jakes are going to find out that a lot of agents have infiltrated these different camps and have done all these things to further bring heat on the Hebrew Israelites. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan, the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And if you're a sincere brother with the eyes to see, you're not ignorant of Satan's devices. You can see his game plan from a mile away. We've been preaching about this for months and years. So all we can say is bring it on, Esau. We're ready for this to pop off, and we're ready to get out of this wicked captivity. Law enforcement and other agencies are being encouraged to report on and flag anyone who they deem a potential risk. Fueling his madcap revolutionary dreams. What could possibly go wrong? It was only a couple of months ago when I warned people about the Threat Assessment Prevention and Safety Act that basically allows law enforcement to label anyone a potential threat. The TAPS Act would encourage law enforcement to give everyone a personal threat assessment, kids and adults, and single out those they deem as future threats. And I did a video a while ago on the TAPS Act, and if I remember to, I'll put it in the description. Police across the country are already using red flag laws to take weapons away from people they deem a potential threat. So why is Homeland Security creating a whole new class of suspicious people? Because the war on terror constantly needs new enemies if it is to keep Americans living in fear. The Albuquerque Journal revealed how law enforcement plans to use the red flag bill to allow law enforcement and other agencies to give people secret threat ratings. Sheriffs have been working with Democratic sponsors of a proposed red flag bill toward a possible compromise. In its original form, the bill would have allowed courts to order the temporary taking of guns from someone deemed an immediate threat, San Juan County Sheriff Shane Ferrari said. From Homeland Security spying on everyone's social media posts to the FBI, it seems like no one is safe from Big Brother's prying eyes. And Big Brother is not safe from the prying eyes of the men of the Lord, for we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. Reason.com warned that the FBI's red flag social media spying tool is a meme-illiterate, Facebook stalking precog from the Minority Report. Reason also warned that spying on everyone's social media posts could spiral out of control. There are operations centers and watch floors which monitor news and events to create reports for the relevant FBI team. These would spur the activation of Fusion Center tactical teams, which use early notification and accurate geolocations, which could allow law enforcement to target and even disenfranchise social media users whose posts have been misinterpreted. Placing people on a secret risk chart is a disaster waiting to happen. Just ask those people on the no-fly list or terror watch list. There are no law enforcement risk rating charts yet. Based on DHS's old risk advisory chart, we could expect law enforcement to use something similar to Canada's workplace risk assessment ratings chart. Image of the chart right here. Canada's Workplace Risk Assessment Ratings Chart is a disturbing example of how DHS could give everyone a personal risk assessment. Asking law enforcement to guess who might become a criminal is at best fortune-telling, and is at worst, it is an excuse to incarcerate more people. This devil's about to come down in great wrath upon us, Ahchyam, so be prepared. Be prepared to be arrested, and be prepared to have your loved ones, your so-called loved ones, your moms, your dads, your brothers and sisters turn you in, because these Edomites are going to put us out there in the media showing that we're a threat to society, and that if you know their whereabouts, turn them in. This is Matthew chapter 10. I'm going to read verse 16 to 22. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves, which the true men of the Lord have been wise as serpents and harmless as doves. All we do is go out there on the highways and byways and preach this word, tell you Israelites and you heathens what's about to take place, and we tell you that we're not going to get carnal with you. We tell you that it's Yahweh Ahchyam Yahushai who's going to bring about that judgment. We're going to get our hands on you when we get those new spiritual bodies, and Yahushai allows us to start putting you heathens into slavery so we can rule over you with that rod of iron in the kingdom. Verse 17, but beware of men. These Edomites, 2/3 of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the FBI, local law enforcement, agent infiltrators, for they will deliver you up to the councils, these judges, after building up a false case against you to label you as a domestic terrorist, a black identity extremist, a threat to society, and they will scourge you in their synagogues, and ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, not just these lower level court judges, but military tribunals and higher political figures. Some brothers may be brought before the President of the United States, and even these elites themselves, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And I know it's easy to tell you brothers right now not to be afraid, as opposed to when you're in this situation, but don't be afraid, Ahchyam, because as I just said, but when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. Yahweh Ahchyam Yahushai is going to put the Spirit in you to tell these heathens exactly what they need to hear, that testimony against the Gentiles in grace and clarity. So what you preach is that the so-called white man is the devil and is going into slavery, and that there's going to be a race war and civil war, and that the United States of America is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles. Yes, that's exactly what we're saying. We're just messengers of Yahweh Ahchyam Yahushai, and you are the devil, and you are going into slavery. You red bastard. Verse 21, and the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. Don't put your faith in your carnal family, your brothers and sisters, your mothers and fathers, your uncles and aunts, etc., etc. The only people you should be having your faith in is your spiritual family, your spiritual brothers out there on the highways and byways with you, and your spiritual fathers, the apostle elders who are doing whatever they can to lead you in the right path towards salvation. Verse 22, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. As Yahushua said, the servant is not greater than his master. If they hated me, they shall hate you also. So expect this persecution to come, Ahchyam, and also expect for some of you to be put to death. This is Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer, being betrayed by men, being betrayed by your loved ones, and being brought before these councils and governors and kings. Behold, the devil, that deceiver, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. And some of us will be tortured in these prisons. And ye shall have tribulation 10 days, and that just means a complete amount of tribulation. Be thou faithful unto death, martyrdom, and I will give thee a crown of life. So to you sincere Ahchyam out there that may find yourselves having to give up the ghost, just endure all things like a good soldier of Yahushai HaMashiach, because you'll be one of the first elect on that chariot, waiting with Yahushai to come save the rest of the elect. So with this video, I hope you sincere Ahchyam were edified. Now's not the time to be getting so weak, especially so close to the finish line. You should have that fire in your spirit to push this word as hard as you can to make your calling and election sure. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Bal, Kwam Yasharallah. Till next time, Shalom.